Hi, Brian.
What's going on, man? How are you? It's it
I'm
it's
I'm okay.
different. It's different. You're in your home office. I'm
You're
in
so far
my
away.
home office. Oh, home
So
office.
far away from me. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Well, it's good to see you. I'm sorry we couldn't record in person today.
That's all right. We got some things happening, but did you have a good weekend?
I did. I did have a good weekend. I did. It's kind of crazy here in Houston. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, we had the Beyonce concert that was in town this weekend. It
Huge,
just
right?
ever Yeah, everyone went kind of nuts about it. People flying in from out of town, driving in from out of town. I was out in Brenham doing a show
Yeah.
and which is like an hour away. And there were people that Misty came to spend the day with me, and we went out and went to a winery, and it was packed. But it was like all people that were going to the Beyonce
I
concert.
was going to ask people there. Really? That's
Yeah,
interesting. Wow.
yeah.
People from out of town hanging out at a
Just
winery an hour.
drove an hour away, or I don't know if they flew into Austin and then were like driving to Houston. I don't know what it was, but it was packed. And so not just Houston was jumping, a lot of areas were jumping. But man, it's good to talk with you. We are going to get into some local news that are going on. A dispute over curly fries ends in a shooting.
What?
And yeah, I know.
No,
Let's
I'm
dive
looking
let's
forward to
let's
it.
dive into this one.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Neighbors Don't Knock, the show that brings you hilarious, unapologetic conversations only these neighbors can have. Join them and guests in their weekly mission to expand the neighborhood. Now, here's your hosts, Brian Chambers and Philip Goffrey.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for checking back into Neighbors Don't Knock. Brian, I am excited to unpack all that wild stuff with you today.
I know. First before we even get started, I got to throw a little bit of love out to my folks. You know how big Notre Dame fans they are. My dad, Notre Dame graduate, and mom went to St. Mary's.
So we've heard.
And yeah, yeah. So if anyone who's watched the podcast, knows how big they are. And they were in South Bend for the game recently against Ohio State. And for anyone that is a football fan or a college football fan knows that that's like a big deal. And it was a very apparent. I didn't get to watch it, but it's apparently a very good game, really close, and they lost by like not even a full touchdown. I can't remember if it was like a 2 point loss or a 3 point loss or something like that. But anytime you lose a big game at home, that's a really good game, and you're there for you know, it
I
stings.
think
It
that
it, it
might be the
stings a little
first
bit.
time that I heard somebody give a shout out to their losing team. Well done there. Hey guys,
Hey,
you did your best.
you did do
Hoorah.
your best, man. It was
Wow.
it was a good game. It was a good game. But before we get any further, make sure you guys follow, like, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Hit that little notification bell so that way you never miss a moment of some fun times with yours truly and Philip.
Indeed, indeed. That notification bell is right down there for those of you who are interested. And right up here, you can go back and take a listen to previous episodes this season. So far, we've had a lot of fun. We've had some great guests on the show, and we've got a lot more coming. This remote Zoom recording is a bit of a unexpected wrench in the works, but otherwise, man, I'm excited for what we got going on this season.
And I'm not playing with myself right here. I just am adjusting my mic.
You know,
Um,
I wasn't going to ask, but a little disturbing. But I did wear. I think you might have noticed. I did wear a T-shirt in honor of you.
I know you were very nice and relaxed right now,
It's
man.
like
So I
casual Friday here on Neighbors Don't Knock, right? It's the Zoom session. I figured I'm not going to bother putting a collar on. I'm just going to come out here looking a little Chambers-esque.
Yeah, I know. I thought I should have actually worn I should have like gotten a tux or something and like showed up, and I didn't even have to wear the pants, just wear like the top half,
There you go. Well, for those of you who are used to watching us, I'm used to looking at Brian this way. So forgive me if my eyes kind of trail here every once in a while. This is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Brian's telling me just look at the dot, look at the dot. I'm
Follow
trying to
the
look at the
dot, follow
dot,
the
guys.
dot.
I'm trying to look up, be all professional for you. But Brian, man, we have a lot to get into, so I think we should dive right into it. I'm quite curious about these people that were traveling out literally over an hour outside of Houston who are in here just to see Beyonce. Like,
Yeah.
that's
I
pretty
mean,
adventurous.
it really is, but I have to ask you, is it because it's never been, I mean, I guess an hour is not that far when you think about it. You know, we're in Houston where it takes like 30 to 45 minutes just to get from one side of the city to the other. But
Yeah, I mean, traffic is so bad here. It took me like 45 minutes to get from my bed into my home office. The other day.
yeah, I bet.
It was something.
I mean, but I mean, to drive an hour, if you're in a city, let's say like coming to Houston, and everyone knows how big Beyonce is. I mean, there's honestly
I've
outside of
heard of her.
Taylor
Yeah.
Swift, there's probably nobody that rivals the amount of attention of a concert that one can get. I mean,
No.
maybe Lady Gaga. I don't know. Harry Styles. I don't, but I very few that can get that kind of clout, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. The Beehive
So
definitely is a real deal.
yeah, and so I guess I think that I understand a little bit of, or I can see the point of how big the concert is, that there's a lot of people come from other places. And if you're like traveling to Houston and it's a stop and then you're continuing going, I get that. But these were, well, the place that we were at, they had buses and caravans, that the party buses, things like that they rode in,
Really?
that were, yeah, because
Highly
they
organized, like mass amount of people are moving.
yeah. And it
Wow.
was a big group, and they were, either I think they said they flew into Houston and then we're looking for something to do, so found this winery and came out here. Because I mean, there's no wineries in Houston. So I guess if you're gonna go to a winery, you gotta travel. If you're going, Fredericksburg's probably a little too far to get to, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But
I
so I saw the point, but I don't know. My question's for you. Would you travel? I mean, aside, unless you're just an absolute wine lover, but would you travel to some place, if you flew into a city an hour outside the city to check something out and then drive an hour back for a show?
Yeah, obviously my knee-jerk reaction is to be all old and curmudgeon-y and be like, "No, of course I wouldn't. Who would do that?" I don't wait 10 minutes for a drink at a bar, let alone drive an hour to go do something away from what I'm already
Well,
in a
but
new
you know what,
place
Philip,
to do.
you don't have to be old and I was looking for the word. I was going to say fracrudden.
You
I
can
don't
be
know
a
what the
young
word is.
fuddy-duddy too.
Yeah, or fuddy duddy. There
Yeah,
you go. There it is. You
yeah,
don't
I
have to be
appreciate
old
that.
and fuddy duddy to be upset about waiting for an hour for a drink at a bar.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a
So
very good point.
you could
Yeah,
be
I do
20,
appreciate
you
that.
could be 21 and be pissed off that you have
I
to wait for a drink
I
at the
I
bar.
I do appreciate that, Brian, but, knee-jerk reaction aside, I guess I can see it, man. I mean, you have a handful of things to do if you're a tourist in Houston, and they can be difficult to do because some things get really, really crowded with very, very long waits. So, for example, say these people are in, they've never done NASA or Moody Gardens or any of our big museums. Well, especially when it's hot like it has been, those
Yeah.
places can be very, very crowded. If you're looking at a 2, maybe a 3-hour wait just to do, let's say, our amazing Museum of Natural Science, I can see that maybe you'd look at alternatives, and maybe that would be doing something like jumping on a tour bus and going out to Brenham and checking out a small town, checking out Fredericksburg. It's a
Yeah.
little it's a little weird to me just because when you get to a place like those areas, there's very little to do there, right?
Well, no,
But
I feel like if you're going to do something like that, you got to go for a very specific reason. Like
yeah,
there's not going to be, you're not going to be like, well, let's go to West Texas and let's travel to Marfa and just see what's there.
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I
I mean,
suppose
that's
I
like,
suppose you could do a little tour though. If you were in Houston, let's say, for those of us, for those of our listeners rather who are not local to Houston, don't really know our geography. If you're in Houston, you're going to go up and tour places like Brenham or Fredericksburg. You may be able to do like 1, 2, maybe if you really stretch it rather, 3 of those in a single day. If they were going through, making a stop
I,
at the winery and then going on.
that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot. You're telling like, I mean, honestly, and this is only because I've recently been driving out there, but it's I could see 1 or 2 things, 3 probably not. Like if
Yeah,
you're in
it happens too.
Chapel, if you're in Chapel Hill area, maybe you could do like if you're there early enough, you could do something in Chapel Hill and then go into Brenham, which is like 20
Hey
minutes
man,
away.
if somebody else is driving that Sprinter van, pile on board with that wine. Let's go to Austin. Who knows? You
Well,
can come on.
it's only 2.5 hours to Austin, and my wife and I are doers on vacation, especially if it's a new place. So I know for a fact if we went somewhere, we would try to do and get in as much as we possibly can.
To be honest,
Depending the place though, but
yeah,
not if I. But the thing, this is where I personally struggle with saying, hey, I want to drive an hour the day of the concert. If you're doing a day trip like the day before, and you know what, and maybe because and maybe I didn't even think about this. She did
played
play
2 days.
2 nights. She did play 2 days. So
Yeah.
I didn't even think to ask. So that might be my bad on that one. Because if they were going to the Sunday concert, I can understand doing a day trip somewhere. That I totally get. But I do know that there were people there that were showing back up to Houston that night. And to me, doing that in like during the day and then going to the concert in Houston at night, and this is where you can call me a fuddy duddy if you want. I feel like that's too much. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, the Beyonce concert is big enough, right? And it's not like it's not like you're just gonna go to the concert, sit in your little seat and go Beyonce. You're gonna be going crazy. You're gonna you're gonna do some pre-partying, I'm sure, some, after the show type of stuff. So I don't know. To me, it's a lot. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's any other city that I would want to do that with. I mean, it's not, you go to New York, you're not like, let me go to Boston today, and then I'll come back for a Broadway show.
No. But in fairness, Houston is a little bit unique in that regard because you can get out of Houston without spending 3-4 hours trying to get out of Houston. Whereas New York, Boston, Chicago, it's much, much more difficult to get out of those cities into the surrounding areas if you do want to go and
Well,
do
that's a fair
it.
point.
Yeah, I can see it. How telling is it, Brian? How telling is it how huge Beyonce is that she played 2 sold out concerts back to back in Houston?
Houston girl, born in Houston, Texas.
Pretty huge, man.
She's only a year older than me.
Oh,
So
if
yeah.
things don't work out with Jay-Z, you got a shot. Misty, watch out.
Hey, she's birthdays are in the same month.
Oh, really?
It's some love right there to Beyonce. Yeah, no, I
Beyonce
mean,
a Virgo or a Libra?
she's not is it Virgo? It's before Libra.
Yeah.
Yeah, Libra's after because I'm Libra. So,
Should we have to look this up? We'd look up Beyonce.
September 4th.
Oh, she's a Virgo.
Yeah.
That explains that creativity.
So, but yeah, she's huge. So it's playing to the home crowd. Yeah, something like that. When it comes, okay, not to gloss over this before I move on. I'm not good with all the signs and stuff, and I know I'm a Libra and I've been a Libra, but I can't tell you what month and what everyone's sign is. Like I have no idea. I am one of those, and they changed it for a short bit too, right? And I refuse to change because my mind changed. They're like, no, you're not a Libra now because they changed the dates. And I'm like, screw that. I'm a Libra. I've always been a Libra.
Yeah, you're in good company. I'm actually completely in the dark on that stuff as well. The only reason why I know Virgo is because I am and Libra's my wife, and that's where that ends. So
got it. Okay, so all right, so
caught me.
And maybe we'll look at some horoscopes up before we leave the show. Maybe we'll end with that.
Oh,
but
boy.
yeah.
We'll do palm reading here at Neighbors Don't Knock. That'll be our next big deal. Get the crystal ball out.
Look at my lifeline across it. No.
Indeed. Wait, you're dead.
It ends right there. It was like
Done.
5 years ago.
Over at the microphone.
No, she's huge. Of course she is. But I still think based on what I've heard, of course Taylor Swift is bigger. But to have 2 nights in a major city,
pretty amazing. 2 sold out.
Yeah, 2 sold out. And I think she would sell out almost any major city she'd go to anyway. But it was really nice to have her, and it was great for the city of Houston. So for those of you that went to the concert, hope you had a blast. Let us know how it was. Post up some pictures. I'd love to see those.
Yeah, those of you in the Beehive.
Yeah, exactly.
And Houston's strong.
It is. But I want to jump into something. It's not really as
Happy?
exciting or happy. That's yeah, I guess that's the word
Positive?
for
Not
it.
maybe as
Positive. There we
positive?
go.
I heard
And,
your
and
little
I,
intro at the beginning, Brian. I'm a little bit nervous about this next topic.
well, because when this story kind of came up and it popped up on the news, I don't really like diving into too much of the news stuff, but it was about curly fries, man. Like this whole dispute was about curly fries, and
That's
I
your
don't.
clickbait is curly fries? Brian, you might have a slight food addiction. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. Curly fries. Oh, click. What?
So for those of you that didn't hear the story, not from Houston, and we're really curious to hear. I want to hear your thoughts on this, but it was a Jack in the Box employee, uh, you know, shot at a customer going through the drive-through, um, over missing curly fries from their order, and it was a customer close to the Houston Intercontinental Airport because it was up there, and they were traveling in from Florida, and there was a lawsuit, and this was back in 2021.
Okay.
March of 2021, when this occurred. But
Why is this in the news now? Is it just
well,
going viral or
that's why I thought, I was like, well, who cares, right? This happened 2 years ago, but apparently the video of what actually happened was just released.
I see. I
So
see.
it's like new things shown that people didn't see. So of course it kind of came up, you know, and you can check this out on, abc13.com or any of the, channel 2, KHOU, any of the Houston local stuff, or look it up online. It was very interesting.
I'm doing my little
Um,
clickies as you say it.
exactly. There you go. But the family filed a lawsuit, but I don't blame them, because, and I watched the video, and essentially there's not really any sound to it, but they pull up, right? And they hand them a bag of food. You're at a drive-through, nothing abnormal, right? Or out of the ordinary. And of course, you check your food. If you don't, you're a fool, right? So you always check to see, your food. And this guy, he paid $12.99 for his combo meal. He wants the curly fries,
I
you
have it
know?
right here, and I'm going to go ahead and have this up on the video for our viewers to watch, or watching on YouTube as well, so they can see this.
Yeah, I mean, it's baffling to me, because you see the dispute like starting to unwind, and what's crazy, as you can physically see her body language change, and it's kind of like watching, a hot mess happen all at once, and you're like you want to say no, but you want to see what happens, right? And so then all of a sudden she starts yelling. Another employee locks the door. Then they come back, start yelling some more. Then they start throwing stuff. She started throwing ketchup packets or whatever it was out
Like
at him. He
ice,
starts throwing,
tossing ice. This is wild.
yeah, and he throws stuff back. And then all of a sudden, but you saw earlier in the video, she actually had a gun in her back pocket. When she walked away from that window, you can see on the camera, she checks the gun.
Yeah, you can very clearly see rather her
Yeah.
make the gun ready, which is fascinating. The gun obviously did not have a round chamber until she prepared the gun to be fired.
Yeah, which when someone does that, that's not anything good.
She
And
did
so
it
when
very covertly too. She turned around and kind of hid the window with her body and sort of did it down low, right?
did
Where
she
she
know
actually,
well, who knows if she knew there was a camera? I don't know. All I know is what happened after that. Another escalation. The guy is upset, obviously, and now they've been throwing things at each other. It's not a good situation. And then she pulls the gun out, and the guy smartly takes off.
according to this article, she only got 1 year of deferred adjudication for her initial sentence.
which
That's
has already been served, and she's,
that's
the
a little,
probation done.
a little light to me, Brian. I don't know. Like
Community service.
yeah, I'm pretty conservative and kind of a right winger when it comes down to the right to bear arms. But you blatantly fire a weapon at somebody who isn't actually threatening you or threatening your property, and you only get a year and a slap on the wrist. That's something might be a little broken about that. That's a little strange.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and the fact that she let loose in public. I mean, she just as you can see in the video, she clearly leaned out the window and just let loose. So who knows where those rounds hit, right?
Wow.
I mean, that's and that, I'm all for, the Second Amendment right, for your right to bear arms and things like that. But there's gotta be something, and I don't even know. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I mean, it baffled me about this story so much that, I mean, she didn't have it in a holster or anything. It was just like in her back pocket, and she just kind of pops it out, checks around. I mean, there's got to be something about that, and I think that Jack in the Box really needs to take control of the situation. I feel like they want to distance themselves as much as possible from this, because Jack in the Box denied all allegations, stated that the restaurant has, quote, no control over and, quote, is not legally responsible for third parties. Like,
unbelievable.
I mean,
I'm reading right here in this article. Ford was initially charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, but pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of deadly conduct. She got a sentence of 1 year of deferred adjudication and completed it in June. Wow. That is, that's weird. I think that Jack in the Box's statements about it are weird, and I agree with you. They're negligent. I think they're going to get in hot water for that. I think they're going to lose this lawsuit. And I find it very, very weird that she was only sentenced to 1 year of deferred adjudication. I think that's disturbing. I think that more is going to come out about this, and I'm willing to bet that.
Well, they say that she can't now ever have a handgun.
Well, that's good.
So, I mean, I know we're laughing about that, but
hope not.
Wow. Well, I mean, who knows? They had all she got was the 1 year.
Neighbors Don't Knock is produced by C&G Communications. C&G specializes in small batch voiceover and video production for commercial media, podcasting, radio, and more.
Combining years of experience in podcasting, acting, and sales, C&G offers big media products at small business prices.
That's right. To learn more, visit their Facebook page or email them directly at admin@cngcommunications.com.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to get up on a soapbox a little bit about this, Brian, because I tell you, man, this happened in 2001, right? So we're coming out of the pandemic. People are at their absolute wits' end. People are snapping left and right. Look at what was going on in the airplanes with people throwing punches at like flight attendants, crew.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, people were really, really hot under the collar, and mental illness is no joke. The shared trauma that everybody went through during COVID is no joke. Firearms can be very, very scary when put in the hands of an unstable person. And clearly this woman just completely snapped. And there's no justifying what she did, obviously. And I think it's kind of disgusting how lightly she was punished for it. But
apparently there is justifying how it was 1 year of deferred adjudication.
It's not the justification. That's just the... That's just the jails are full, so we don't know what to do with you kind of thing. Yeah.
No, you give the curly fries next time.
I would have loved to have been a fly in that courtroom, right? With the judge looking here. I'm picturing Judge Judy, right? Looking out this one, like, you open fire at a family over curly fries? Like, of all things, really? Wow. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating, man. I'm disturbed by this. I'm glad you brought it to my attention because it really flew under my radar. Well, I don't know if I'm glad or not, actually.
I see that's the thing. And that's what got me. And I was like, I don't know why I got to talk about this, but is there so much crime these days that we look at something like this and say, well, that's disturbing, but there are bigger problems in the city we live in than somebody shooting at somebody else over curly fries.
I mean, weird things happen by the airport, guys. Just stay central, all right? Just stay interloop. It's going to be okay if you're visiting Houston. It is going to be okay.
Is that your stay central?
This kind of stuff gives Houston
stay local.
a bad
stay
name,
local.
Brian. Yeah. Let alone Texas. I mean, this is really...
I'm not trying to give
Florida, guys.
I'm not trying to give Houston a bad name, and for a city that we love and live in. But I am wanting to shine a light on the fact that there's a lot of things going on that I think we need to pause that aren't necessary. We need to, take a step back and look at this, because I think, as odd as thank God no one was hurt, but as odd as this is, and unfortunate this incident that no one got hurt, we could learn something from it. I mean, it's like, it's just as bad as somebody having road rage and pulling out a firearm on the road and letting loose, which has happened in, and obviously Texas and Houston, we're not the only city and state to have things like this happening. I just think it's a little ridiculous that it had to happen over curly fries.
Yeah. I don't think,
know?
no, man. I think that everyone watching, everyone listening can agree with you. And I agree. I do think there needs to be a broader conversation about this stuff. And I think that we all need to take a step back and take a look at how on edge people seem to be these days, and try to figure out collectively why that's happening, because it's clearly not one thing, and it's clearly widespread.
Well, and let me ask you this before we get off this. And I know it's because you weren't in the situation, but if you were in the situation, because if your daughter and wife were in the car and this was someone unleashed, well, one, I don't know if you would go berserk over the curly fries, knowing you, but
I think I'd probably let the curly fries go.
Yeah, I think you would too. But if this had happened to you, I mean, would you have been okay with? Would you feel like the crime or the punishment fit the crime?
No, absolutely not. I think that her sentencing was utterly ridiculous, and I think that that needs to be examined. I think that the court that passed that sentencing forward needs to be examined. I think the judge needs to be examined. I think something went wrong with this one. This woman put not only one, two, but three people in danger, including a child, not to mention the people who are working right there with her in that drive-through window, who are also put directly in harm's way. And
I can't even imagine being like working, like, somebody in there, taking care of a customer, and all of a sudden gunshots, rung out from your
this is a
drive-through window.
manslaughter. That's all there is to it. So I think that something really went awry in this whole deal, and I think this is not the last we're going to hear about it.
Okay, so before we go, I wanted to take a second, since we were talking about horoscopes and zodiac signs and things like that, and Philip knows I can never resist. So I wanted to read.
I wanted to see those gears turning, buddy. You're just clicking away, trying to find the information. I like it. I like it a lot.
I was. Okay. So my horoscope today, this is my horoscope, as a Libra, for all you Libras out there. You should mesh quite well with the prevailing energy today. There's a powerful transformative force helping to give greater strength to your ego and vitality. Note the fiery energy about the day that encourages your dynamic and forceful personality to shine through. Feel free to express your independence in every situation. Okay, so Philip, you're a Virgo.
I am.
Okay, so let me read your horoscope for today. It says, and this again, these are according to horoscope.com. It says, you're the sensitive one in a sea of anger today. So keep your guard up. Don't be tempted or seduced by any rage around you. Be wary of people who seem motivated by fear. You'll be much better off when you align yourself with those who act from a point of neutrality and self-confidence. Model your behavior after the people you see as superheroes in your world. That's kind of fitting for what we just talked about.
I was about to say that really slides in quite nicely. I'm a little bit disturbed by that. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah. She's not a believer in the horoscopes, huh?
Don't mind walking under a ladder now and again either. Yeah, that kind of stuff really doesn't get to me very much.
Well, anyway, I think we've exhausted this one enough. Make sure you guys stay safe out there. Always new episodes on Friday. Follow, like, subscribe, social media, wherever you get your podcast, on YouTube. Hit that notification bell. Clickety,
Do it
clickety,
all.
as Philip.
Do it
Yeah.
all.
Clickety, clickety, as Philip always says. Smash that like button, as I always say. But you're going to want to catch later episodes coming up in the season, because we have some great neighbors and on location shows that we're going to be doing. So you're going to want to tune in.
True, it's true. And next time we're actually in the same room together.
We will be. So catch us next week, guys. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Out.